Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to all. Welcome to another edition of Homie Picks. We are in week 10. Um, it's me, it's Ben. Lou is currently scouting high school prospects at this moment. This man is deep into Homie Picks that he is scouting the next talent for the future fantasy studs and such.
Right,
But
looking for that next McDonald's star.
it's exactly right. But it's just me and Ben this week. Lou's picks will be submitted in. But Ben, how you doing, bro?
Glad it's Friday, bro. Felt like a really long week. Just looking to some good games this weekend, bro, hopefully.
Yeah, a little, definitely an improvement from 2 weeks ago where it was like, why are we doing this? But
Yeah, for sure. The slate's much better this time around.
it was
It was
better.
rough.
Also have a couple of storylines that that have unfolded, and such over the week. But we're gonna get into this first one. The first ever game in Germany, first ever NFL game in Germany. Seattle, Tampa. I know technically Tampa is the home team, but when you're in Germany, I already ain't gonna know who really gonna know who this is. But Tampa is a 2.5 point favorite. Seattle's a plus 120. Um, who do you think has this game?
Wow, I was actually forgetting about this game. I was like, wait, why is this such early in the morning? I was like, what? It threw me off. It threw me off. I was really forgetting about it. But, neutral field, Tampa Bay struggling of late. I don't know, they just can't get into rhythm with their offense. They're sputtering. Their defense keeps them into games, but other than that, they're really struggling. Can't get the running game going. Brady sometimes looks his age. Uh, and then here comes Seattle, up and coming, great running back. Gino's playing like he was the number one pick. It's just a crazy season so far. But yeah, I just because of all these how it goes neutral field, I feel like right now Seahawks is really the team. Like I don't know how the Tampa Bay became the favorites here, but I have to go with Gino and the boys there.
How they became the favorite is because they finally won a game. That's how they became the favorite.
I
So
guess. Oh, wow.
even be a 2.5 point favorite is pretty funny to me. Um, even with that one that lackadaisical win that they had, they were in first place. Like, and they lost like three straight games. So it's
Right.
like, how do you know how bad that conference really is for you to lose three straight games and still be number one
That's
in that?
funny. Hey, and my conference is bad, so I should know about bad
Well, I
conference.
mean, fair point. But yeah, I think Seattle is the better team though. Well, that's the thing about it. 10 weeks in, um, those bad teams seem to play a lot better overseas. Now, granted, this is new territory for both teams. Nobody's ever played in Germany for an NFL game, whether it be preseason or regular season. So this is going to be a different kind of atmosphere for most people because everybody's pretty much used to London at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of wild things can happen. Seattle can fly out there, and it could be a difficult trip for them. Um, we know this is taxing as Tampa, but they may have a shorter trip, and such. I don't really know the travel route for how Seattle will fly. Do they go across through Russia, or do they go across these states and then go into Germany? It's a lot. Now, granted, it's the modern day athlete. You know, your bodies are conditioned to do whatever, but I can see 2.5 points being like a good number. Because it's kind of foreign territory for both teams.
Yeah.
And like I say, like those bad teams seem to play better overseas. But then again, some of those teams you thought would have been good play mediocre too. Granted, Seattle was not Green Bay because when Green Bay and the Giants were playing in London, nobody really thought the Giants would have been that good, and they weren't. So, I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna do both. So I'm gonna do Seattle definitely wins this game. Uh, I think they actually just eke out that point spread. Um, to even though it's 2.5, like you can do an alternate point spread of Seattle being the points person and for 2.5, and I think you would win that. So that'd be a nice little double result for me. Going to the next game. Your Indianapolis Colts have a new head coach, Jeff Saturday, former center, Peyton Manning's wingman. For a lot of those for what 12 years for him,
13 years.
14 years with Peyton. Lifelong Colt person. One first before we get into the line for that game. How do you feel about Jeff Saturday being your new coach?
I really don't know. I really don't know like what to expect. Like uh I understand what the owner is thinking. It feels like, look, nothing against Frank, right? He was a good coach, but it just feels like his messaging became stale. The offense started to become predictable. And it wasn't fair to him. We just never got a QB. But I think it was time for a change. So I was just shocked that it happened in the middle of the season. I was not expecting that. And then on top of that, for it to be an inexperienced coach. But I don't know. Maybe they just needed something completely different. Maybe it wakes them up. I mean, Saturday is an O line man. Hopefully, maybe he has something that can work with the O line, because that's really what's causing all this trouble. The regression of the O line has just been incredible. So I don't know, man. It's mixed emotions. I wanna support Saturday. He won the championship and whatnot. But then at the other time, it's like, you think about all these other head coaches that, put in all these years of work and they didn't even get a shot. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of 50-50. Although he did say, it's just interim for now, and we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they play hard this weekend. I mean, it really comes down to the O line. If they can get some kind of protection, and then maybe some kind of run game going, they'll look competent.
So right now, as it stands, Indianapolis is at Vegas. Vegas is a 4.5 point favorite. Indy is a plus 124. Yeah, I think with it being a new coach, new situation, he does have coaching experience technically,
Yes,
although it was in high school.
high school
But
coach.
but he does have some coaching experience. I mean, these are just grown kids anyway, right? So
Right. I mean, like, I don't throw too much behind that. Like, the man played 13 years of football.
he
Obviously, he
did.
knows football. You must know something by now.
Exactly. And then, you know, making that transition to analyst, that's kind of the sweet spot for a lot of um personnel, is that when they go analyst, because they played so long, you go analyst and you have such a idea of what it looks like, and you can see things on TV that you normally want to see, that you wouldn't particularly see a lot of like in the game. Now that's the transition he has to make back. Um, you know, you scouted all these teams watching from afar. Now it's time to put that actual work in it one more time, but this time from a different kind of role.
Right.
And I think he's capable of doing that. I mean, I remember it was actually a tweet that he had a couple weeks ago about Vegas.
I've seen it.
And then out of nowhere, in your first game as a head coach is against Vegas.
Exactly.
So this is going to be pretty fun. Hopefully they don't have it as bullet board material. But however, even if they had it as bullet board material, Vegas sucks at this point. And it's we in our and I'm mad at it because in our preview show we really thought this would have been like a tight, you know, four team race, and it really hasn't been a 4-team race.
Not at all.
in that we've put a 4-man race in the West and a two-man team, you know, a 2-man race in the South, and it hasn't came to fruition with it for that. But even with bullet board material or not, I see Indianapolis winning. I think Indianapolis wins. Vegas just doesn't have anything going.
Yeah.
You know, like outside of brand names, you know, like, you know, you can have Gucci and Balenciaga and stuff, but shit, they're looking like Levi's and Wrangler to me also. So, you know, like you can have brand names, but it don't mean anything. You just acting like very accessible kind of shit. So, and that's just what the Raiders are. Like they have flash.
Yeah.
But they're just original brand stuff. So I think you know, the Colts come in, new coach, new situation, they get inspired, they play better, and they win.
You know, I have to agree with you on that one. Because I think if we had not fired our coach and we went into it, I probably would have leaned towards Vegas. But I think because of this little shakeup, you know, I think, you know, probably people are thinking my job's probably on the line too. Let me just pick it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, they play a little harder. They play a little, you know, a little tougher. I think Indy pulls out the win. It'll probably be a tough one, but yeah, like you said, the Raiders just they didn't come together like everyone would hope. I mean, Waller and Renfro are out. Devontae Adams is having problems with Carr not throwing him the ball. So it's become a mess. And now you have McDaniels coming in to play Indy and, you know, the team that he left behind. Now, if he loses to Indy with an interim coach, that's just not going to be looking good for him,
Right.
especially this season he's having with the Raiders, man. And then his first stint with the Broncos, I don't know. It's not looking good for his coaching resume so far. So he might be on the hot seat himself if he loses this one. So, but like you, I'm going with India this one. I think they pull off a win.
All right. So Ben, what game you have picked up for this week?
Yeah, for me, this game kind of stuck out more on the betting side than anything. It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars versus KC at KC. It's a 9.5 spread, you know, underdogs for the Jacksonville. But I think they're undervaluing Jacksonville's defense and overvaluing how Mahomes plays when he's a favorite. Because when he's a favorite, he hasn't been able to cover. I think obviously KC wins this game. They're just a more talented team right now. They have a little bit more button together. But if I'm betting this game, I have to take Jacksonville with those points. I mean, there's just too many points on the line. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Yeah, you know, probably by a touchdown or less. I see KC winning. I don't see, you know, winning about more than that. I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. They're going to see a little bit of a pass rush. I mean, Jacksonville does have a good pass rush. And they could pull off an upset. I mean, they started to use their weapons a little better. They started to realize they needed to pass to Kirkpatrick a little more, right? Is his name? The receiver. and use ATN a little bit more in the running game. So they started to exploit that. They started to put up some points a little bit more consistently. So I like KC winning this one, but if I have to bet this game, I have to take Jacksonville in those points.
Yeah, Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk.
You can call him Captain Kirk too.
Captain Kirk. That's what I was like. That's what I was mixing up. I was like, wait, no, I know it's a Kirk in there.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think Casey does win this game, but don't be surprised if Jacksonville wins it either.
Yeah.
And this is one of those rare times for me to even say that about Jacksonville, because they're playing a lot better this year. And unlike last week, well, here's the difference between the Titans and Jacksonville. They have a strong running back, but no passing game in Tennessee. Jacksonville could throw that ball. Trevor Lawrence is coming into his little own right now. And I mean, honestly, if you watched that game last week, you're encouraged to say that we can do this. Like KC did not run away with that game.
No.
I was this close from having my bet win on Tennessee, but they just couldn't keep the door closed on them for long. Yeah, I definitely think the 9.5 point spread definitely falls in favor more for Jacksonville, more than anything. I think Jacksonville is competent this year, especially to keep it close. They have a running game, they have a passing game as well. It's not Derrick Henry running, but
right.
it's still capable enough to do something. And if they can replicate some of those things from last week, that Tennessee did, I think they'll be in good shape going into the fourth quarter to even pull off an upset. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the same betting with you. KC to win, but Jacksonville on the points.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's just too delicious there.
and even that plus 340 on the money line,
Yeah, I would sprinkle on that myself.
it's pretty enticing for me also. But if you're scared, if you're not, I don't say scared, but if you're not, too sure about the money line, you can take an opportunity at possible free bets. If you use the promo link below for FanDuel Sportsbook, you get the link in below for a possible free bet. I would say possible because if you've done it before, you can't do it always. Can't have a week by week free bet because of the promo, right? But,
Just works once.
exactly, works once. We tried it, but going to our next one. This was actually Lou's selection. The LA Chargers going into San Fran. San Fran is a touchdown plus extra point favorite, so a 7-point favorite. Chargers are plus 245. It's a weird time to be a Chargers supporter because they have not looked anywhere near as good. Yes, you can say injuries and stuff, but end of the day, they're just not getting it done for the most part. It's looking more and more like KC is going to have this divisional lock. But San Fran is doing pretty good too. Debo was out, so you have injuries on both sides of the field. You have supermodel Garoppolo, still quarterbacking. I mean, if it was a battle of quarterbacks, there's no doubt I'm going to go with my man. Justin Herbert. But who the hell is he throwing to half of the time now? Allen Robinson, Like, well, he's on the Rams, but I wish he would have had somebody like Allen Robinson, because it looks like
I think he'll be happy with that.
I think he would be happy with that, because it looks like
Yeah,
Stafford don't even know how to throw them either. So I
yeah,
mean, he would
definitely.
need somebody capable on that team that's tall, like Keenan Allen and stuff. But I think we're getting past those points of trades and stuff like that, and nobody's really thinking about that or cutting and such. But I don't know. I this game 7 points. Even with that, I'm thinking Chargers covered on that. But I think San Fran is looking to take a dominant stance in their division, because they're still looking up to Seattle, and being that Seattle's playing, I wouldn't say it's a trap game, but being that they're playing a foreign game in Germany, you never know how those kind of things go. San Fran knows they need to step it up a little bit. So, and McCaffrey, is still holding it down. Like, he had a wild stat that he threw more yards than he threw more yards than other quarterbacks, ran more than others, received more than. He had a wild stat. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be replicated against a decent Chargers defense. I used to say it was a good one, but it's Swiss cheese. But yeah, I think Niners take this one though. But I do think the Chargers do cover on that 7 points though. What you thinking?
Yeah, much like you, it's tough to see Herbert playing in this team right now because he has no weapons. They're hurt, and both of them tend to be injury prone. So I was kind of shocked that they didn't upgrade at the receiver, but they're hurt again, so he has nobody to throw to. I think maybe just the tight end right now, Reynolds, and Eckler.
Right.
So yeah. And on top of that, he's hurt, and the way Staley calls the game sometimes, he is a defensive coach, but their offense just looks pathetic at times. It's just like, what are you guys doing? It's just such a waste of talent that they have right now. I'm with you. Like I see San Fran winning this, but this is the type of game where the Chargers would do just enough and cover. You know what I mean? They will cover that spread. I would bet the spread on this one, but if since we do the pick 'em, I definitely think the 49ers win this one. They just have too many weapons, and they're getting a lot of them back. And Debo's coming back, Elijah is coming back. So yeah, I just don't see the Chargers overcoming that. This team, the Niners defense is just too good, and the way that they're playing offensively right now, it's gonna be a tough day for them to just move the ball around and get some points up. So I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game, but in the end, I think, like I said, Niners win the game, but I think the Chargers cover this.
Yeah, it's a weird week for them. Like, I really had so much hope in Herbert and the Chargers and stuff. And I mean, I thought this would have been the year that Casey gets dethroned, but guess that's not happening.
Yeah, we went for the ride, bro. That's what
Hey,
happened.
man, let's ride, right? But, so we could have went the route of Arizona, LA. It would have been Kyler's third week into new Call of Duty season, but we're not going that route. We could have even went the route of saying, the mighty Giants against the lowly Texans. But we're not going that route. I think we all know what game we're all going to go with for the last one. The biggest game of the year right now. Minnesota, Buffalo. Buffalo is a 3-point favorite. Minnesota is a plus 134. Two highly favorite teams. Who knows? This could even be a repeat. I mean, this could even be a prelude to the Super Bowl. We have no idea. Like, these two teams are playing pretty good, but somebody did suffer a big loss last week.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben, who you thinking is going to take this game?
See, when I first saw this matchup, I thought it was going to be like a really interesting matchup. When everything was the way it was, I was like, probably Buffalo wins in a tight game. But to be quite honest, I think Minnesota wins this game right now. Simple fact that they added, tight end Hawkinson, who's really good tight end, and I think that's gonna help Cousins, because sometimes he doesn't good at getting rid of the ball to the flats. So I think that's gonna help him get big TJ up there. And it's just, to be honest, it's because potentially, you know, Allen is hurt, so potentially he might not play. He's questionable going into the game. If he doesn't play, forget it. They're not winning. But if he's hurt, he's not close to 100%. I think they're gonna struggle because Minnesota does have a decent defense. They get an average pass rush. They can get to the quarterback. And they would just have to protect against the pass because Buffalo doesn't really have any rushing game. And you have a hampered quarterback and you're relying on him basically to save you all the time. I just don't see it working out if he's not 100%. So have to take Mini here.
So here's the reason why I'm gonna pick Minnesota. Josh Allen is banged up. Now I naturally would say after a piss poor performance against the Jets that Josh is due to come back and light it up, but Josh is hurt. Now I do think an injured Josh Allen is better than maybe 70% of the quarterbacks we have in the league, but the game is 1:00.
Prime time, cousin time.
Because the game is not at 8 on a Sunday night, because the game is not on a Monday at 8:15, I think Monday Night Football starts, because it's not too prime time.
No, what are you talking about? This is prime time, Kirk, man. What are you talking about?
Like my man was on the plane last week, Thug.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Kirk Thuggins, I mean that would be forever be gold right there.
That was awesome.
But it is a big game. It's prime time in game stature, but not in terms of time, which that could have been. I think, and of all the things that got flexed this week, that should have been Sunday Night Football. Or at least it should have been Monday Night Football. Because I can see Chargers, Niners as Sunday Night Football. But Eagles, Commanders, you could have flexed that one. You could have really flexed that one. But if you flex that one, I damn sure was going with Buffalo. Primetime Cousins on Monday Night Lights.
Yeah, I mean, that changes the whole narrative.
That ain't going to work. but yeah, I think Minnesota, for one, it's their road to 7-1 is the meaning if you look at it in a light. You can also have the same kind of the meaning way it looks for the Eagles being undefeated. But I think overall I really think that Minnesota's a better team at this point. Well, not to say a better team, but I truly think that at this point Minnesota is playing with confidence. The team is rallying around Kirk Cousins, and that's honestly what you need. Because if they didn't believe in him, it really wouldn't work out too well. But yeah, the only game that the Vikings lost to were the Eagles, and that was prime time. So that, they beat Green Bay, Detroit, Saints, Bears. A Tua-less Dolphins, and even with that, they beat the Dolphins. Period. It doesn't even matter if it was Tua or not. Call of Duty collar, and so it's. I think this would be the biggest game that they have all year outside of Philly. And I think just because they have had a big game against a big opponent, I think that they take care of this one and be 1-1 in terms of those big games this year. What you thinking?
No, yeah, for sure. I agree with you, man. It's a big game, but like I said, it's primetime Kirk time, you know. His time to shine. I think they are gonna shine. I think they're gonna have a good showing. Again, if Allen was 100%, I would definitely go with Buffalo, but he's not. And it's not like an injury, you know, on his leg or something. It's an elbow.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. My guess is he probably won't play, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, he's gonna have to, you know, like this kind of magnitude. Like
Well,
it's
you got to be smart, bro, because like
I
it's like
know.
get him healthy for the long run or try and beat Kirk Cousins. Like
I,
it's
I know.
Super Bowl, or I
It's
can say I beat Kirk Cousins. I'm leaning towards Super Bowl, but you know, that's just me.
it's a toss up to it. Like, I get it. Um, anytime touchdown scorers this week. What do you got?
uh, you know, I really like Kenneth Walker.
Woo, boy, Kenny in Seattle.
He's a consistent touchdown machine. You know, he gets a lot of touches. They run a lot of the offense through him, so he has a good opportunity to get a touchdown. And quite frankly, the Bucks haven't been that great against the runs, so I see Kenneth putting up some good numbers.
For me, AJ Brown, Philadelphia. Um,
Yeah,
think
that's yeah.
I think it's gonna be a blowout for that.
Probably.
Commanders, yeah, they've had some, tough stuff coming up, but I say AJ Brown's anytime touchdown scorer. Fantasy stud.
Fantasy stud. I'm looking at Justin Jefferson. I think he's gonna, you know, they're gonna let him loose. I don't think he's gonna score touchdowns, unfortunately. So don't pick him for a touchdown. He's not consistent with that. But he gets a lot of yards, a lot of targets. So Justin Jefferson.
I'm gonna go with my original NFC North pick, Bear personnel, Justin Fields. I
Hey,
think Justin Fields against the Lions. I really do like the Lions, but they're really bad.
yeah,
Um, and I think Justin Fields. I think he's going to get you 2 touchdowns.
they're finding
Three.
something. They're
I
finding
think you know
something.
what. I think he's a 3 touchdown scorer this week. 2 in the air, one on. No, what? No, one passing, 2 running. That's what I think Justin Fields is going to give y'all this week. The Lions just really can't contain anybody.
Yeah, they can't.
Granted, they did beat Green Bay,
But I
but
feel like anybody can beat Green Bay this year.
yeah, I feel like the team that Lou was scouting right now could beat Green Bay. So,
Probably.
but that's it for us this week. Back at you next week, week 11. Like, share, subscribe. Tells me right, tells me wrong. Until then, peace.